So the more I think about the Orville, the more I think I like it, and then watching the second episode affirms, I think I kind of like this show. So let's talk about it. So episode 2, Command Preference, has several different kind of storylines going on. First off, Commander Bortus, or Lieutenant Commander Bortus, takes a few weeks off because he's laid an egg in his single gender species. Therefore, he's kind of put on the sidelines. Also kind of going on in the episode, the captain and the first commander, the divorced couple, go off on a shuttle mission, and therefore it puts the security chief, who's the young girl, in charge of the ship. Well, when something happens to our captain and our lieutenant captain, our security chief, who's in command for the first time, her skills as a leader are put to the test. Now, if you watched my review of last week's episode, you heard me say that I was pretty mixed on the show because the Star Trek-y sci-fi side of the show seemed a little bit too similar to Star Trek The Next Generation in the original Star Trek series, and then the comedy side seemed a little bit too vanilla for fans of Seth MacFarlane. And then as kind of the week passed, as I thought about it more, I just found myself still having a draw of like being fond of the show, even though there wasn't anything that wowed me. I wasn't like, that was amazing, but I was like, I think I'm really rooting for this show, which is a really good sign because there's shows that I watch and I'm like, I'm not quite pulled towards it yet. And then my mind just kind of drifts away from it. I kind of forget about it. This one I kept going back to and thinking, maybe I should rewatch that. Well, I can't wait till the next episode. And then this episode aired and it kind of affirmed all of that. So let's kind of talk about the good. And the thing that is just best about this show thus far is it really is just good old-fashioned Star Trek. Obviously, it's not in the Star Trek universe. It's its own kind of show, but it's more of what I want from Star Trek, which is going off to planets, strange new worlds, and exploring these cultures and having sort of exploring ideas in them. In this episode, I'll kind of, at this point, I'll just say spoilers, because if you're watching this, you're probably not looking for a recommendation. Watch my review of the first episode if you want that. But kind of go into some spoilers, but the sort of idea that people were kidnapped and being examined as the zoo for this planet, and so the humans are being held captive there because they were viewed as a lesser species. That's interesting social commentary. That's Star Trek. That's what the original series, that's what Next Generation was, exploring sorts of ideas and using sci-fi storytelling to do them. That's fascinating. It's interesting, and there's a little bit of poignant points in this, and the idea of zoos and exploration of why we think we can do certain things. That's interesting, and that's what Star Trek was. And when the show's doing that, I think it works really nicely. And I actually have a lot more hope that this show is going to deliver what I want from Star Trek, more so than Star Trek Discovery. Now let's move on to the bad. The humor doesn't fully work for me yet. It doesn't feel like it's found its step yet. It feels a little bit like Seth MacFarlane trying to do Seth MacFarlane comedy routines. So like the opening scene of it where there's, joking about Kermit the Frog and sorts of stuff. Doesn't feel like it's found its step. And somewhat to the same example, I'm not bought into all the cast of characters yet. It still feels kind of like playing character. We're doing cosplay Star Trek or something like that. Doesn't feel like I'm fully invested in all these characters and their backstories and how they intertwine with each other, especially when the show's so comedy based in the dialogue and then the relationships. I'm not quite there yet. Could be. I think I'm all in on the show. I think I'm going to keep watching until it gets awful or something like that. But at the moment, I'm feeling like, this seems like a show for me. So all that to say, positive, just this sci-fi, doing the Star Trek the way I want it done, hopeful, optimistic. What they were going for, I think they've nailed on that side to it. It just feels so much nostalgia. Once again, a weird comparison, but kind of like with The Force Awakens, where people it has the nostalgia of what I wanted from Star Wars, not necessarily doing new things in The Force Awakens, but doing what I wanted you to do and having the sense of fun to it. That's what this does. The humor side, the characters, I'm not quite there yet, but sometimes it takes a little while. And season 1 of Star Trek The Next Generation, not good. So I fully understand all of that. And so that's kind of where I think I'm falling on this one. Last week I said the jury's still out. I'm going to move up. I'm going to say I think I'm in. I dig the show. I like it. I think once they find their footing on the comedy and I understand the characters a little bit better, there's a little bit too much of rehashing the relationship between the divorced couple, but you know, I like it. I'm digging what they're doing with it, and then it's legit good old-fashioned Star Trek. That's my take on it. How about you? Tell me down below in the comment section. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. I'm the Star Trek fan. I'm not the Seth MacFarlane fan. That's kind of my perspective on when I'm coming in on the show. And yeah, it's kind of winning me over a little bit. I like the general idea of what they're going for, and I'll give it enough chance to become a great show. What do you think? Tell me down below. If you're new, consider clicking that subscribe button. I do movie reviews, TV reviews like the one you're watching right now, and ranking videos. Actually, I got a ranking video that dropped, I guess it's dropping today because I'm recording this after midnight. Ranking all of the Star Trek movies plus Galaxy Quest thrown in there. So that's a fun one. And then next weekend, I'm going to start reviewing the Star Trek Discovery each week. So I might keep reviewing this show and Star Trek Discovery. We'll see what happens. But as always, thank you so much for watching.